My name is Parke Wilde, and I have a question. Who should study U.S. food policy? Suppose, for example, that your own field is the science of nutrition or public health. You may desire to preserve your sense of scientific impartiality by leaving the topic of food policy to activists, or political scientists, or farm subsidy experts, or, goodness forbid, economists. Yet, food policy is unavoidable. The federal government's current 2015 to 2020 Dietary Guidelines for Americans has an illustration, a conceptual framework describing all the things that influence diet and health. They include proximal factors such as how much people eat or how much physical activity they get. But even the dietary guidelines recognize that they also include more distant factors, such as agriculture, food systems, economics, and the private sector, and public policies. When health professionals first turn their attention to food policy, they are tempted to behave like physicians with their prescription pads. Oh, are people eating badly? Then let us prescribe less sugar, or more fiber, or smaller portion sizes. At first, when they start to explore the upper orbits of this solar system shaped diagram, and they find that policymakers sometimes disagree with these prescriptions, nutrition scientists are tempted to write off the opposition as merely economic interest, or even corruption. But I think it's better to postpone judgment momentarily. At the outer orbits of this diagram, some people don't even think of their whole solar system as revolving around diet and physical activity. Their planets revolve around other suns. We should spend some time reading, studying, and listening to all the different things that diverse constituencies in food policy care about. Nutrition, yes, but also preventing hunger, protecting the environment, providing justice for farm laborers, and even promoting a thriving rural economy. A central goal in writing this book, Food Policy in the United States, an Introduction, whose second edition has just been published by Taylor and Francis in 2018, has been to teach outsiders the language that people speak in these strange alien planets of food policy. Let's take a tour. The food marketing chain describes all the industries involved in producing our food and beverages. For the agriculture industry, we learn about the geography of U.S. crop and animal production, the average incomes of different types of farmers, and no fewer than 7 varieties of subsidy programs or government interventions that seek to improve farm incomes. For the food manufacturing industry, we learn about the major multinational companies that process and package food and beverages, and we also learn about the economics of imperfect competition and monopoly. In the same chapter, we learn about the economics of input industries that make fertilizers, pesticides, and genetically modified seeds. For food retailing and restaurants, we study a model of economic organization called monopolistic competition, which helps to explain why some industries have such a strong incentive to advertise so vigorously to persuade folks to buy more and more brand name food and beverages. We cover food retail deserts and policies that could lift wages for workers in the restaurant industry. And we have 5 chapters on issues that affect consumers, including food safety, dietary guidance, food labeling and advertising, and federal nutrition assistance programs for low-income Americans and for children and youth. Thinking about the consumers at the end of the food marketing chain, we reflect on whether they are truly the sovereign commanders of the whole operation, or instead more like passive recipients of whatever the food system spews out the end of the long pipeline. Throughout, we learn about the diverse institutions of the executive branch, including the alphabet soup of USDA, FDA, CDC, EPA, FTC, and FCC, and many more. And similarly with the legislative branch and all the advocacy coalitions that affect U.S. food policy. My sincere hope is that this effort makes more accessible a field that can sometimes seem closed off by jargon or intimidating economics or arcane institutional details. I believe in our democracy that we will enjoy better food policies as producers, consumers, and citizens if the doors to policymaking are thrown open wide. Who should study U.S. food policy? You should study U.S. food policy.